What is up, fellow backpackers? My name is Dan, and on this gorgeous day, I am reviewing one of my favorite pieces of backpacking gear, the Helinox Chair Zero. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the Chair Zero, as well as talk about why I love this thing so damn much, as well as a few of the downsides. Now, I decided to buy this chair because I'm the kind of person whose lower back gets really sore if I'm sitting down for an extended period of time without any type of a backrest. And I have tried everything, sitting against logs, against trees, against rocks, but nothing really seems to help. And it got so bad that the pain would hurt so much that I would go inside my tent and just lay down because I was so uncomfortable. So eventually I decided that I needed to get an actual camp chair if I was going to enjoy myself at camp. But I was not willing to sacrifice anything more than 16 ounces, 1 pound, nothing more. And what do you know? Helinox came along and answered my prayers, because this thing is indeed exactly 16 ounces. All right, as far as setting it up, it really couldn't be any easier. They all come with this little stuff sack, and inside there are two components, just two. You have the chair material itself and the pole structure, and I have to show you this. All the poles are connected by these little bungee cords, kind of like a tent pole, and they're made out of super duper ultralight DAC aluminum. Am I saying that right? DAC? DAC? I don't know. I'm not a metallurgist. But all you have to do to set this thing up is just connect the poles into these little plastic sockets. And they kind of go in there by themselves for the most part. I barely have to do any actual work. So just make sure these are all in there completely, and you have the frame for the chair. And all you have to do for the chair material, now there is a top and bottom because this thing is tapered. If you forget, just turn it over and the diagram for the instructions will be on the top. So all you got to do is put these little sockets on the chair material into these little nubbies, and there's 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, and the last one can sometimes be a little tough. 4. Now, Helinox recommends that after you get the top 2, to just lay the thing down on the ground, and then it'll be a little bit easier to get these 2 bottom ones on. But that is it! The chair is all set up and ready to be enjoyed. Oh man. As far as the comfort is concerned, I personally could not be any happier with this thing. It feels so great to sit back in an actual chair. And, you know, it certainly is not your $2,000 lazy boy sitting in your living room. But for a camp chair, especially one that's this light, it's really awesome. Now, I suppose if you're a really tall person or you just have really long legs, then it might not be as comfortable because, after all, this is still relatively short to the ground. I don't have that problem. I'm 5'7", so for me, it's perfectly fine. Now, I have sat in this chair for hours and hours and hours, and I've had absolutely no issues in terms of comfort. Now, not only do I love the comfort of this chair, but I also love the freedom that having a camp chair like this allows you to just put it anywhere you want. When I was in Dolly Sods last summer, I literally had this thing in a stream, just soaking my feet for hours and hours, and it was great. Now, there are, of course, some lighter options out there, such as using some type of like a hammock chair that you have to use with the tree. But again, you don't get the freedom that you have with an actual dedicated camp chair to just move it wherever your heart desires. The other thing that I love about the Chair Zero in particular is, again, the weight. Only 16 ounces for a fully featured camp chair is pretty amazing. Now, I have seen recently REI release a chair that is also supposedly 16 ounces, so I'm kind of glad to see that this thing has inspired some competition in the ultralight chair department. Now, even though I do love this chair, there are, of course, some downsides. Number one, and I've heard a lot of complaints about this, and I would agree with it, the legs for the chair do tend to sink into soft soil, mud, sand, so on and so forth, because they do kind of just come to a relatively small point. And yeah, they do tend to sink into mud. I was actually having an issue with that just here on this muddy soil. See, I told you. And in the past, I've had issues with that as well. And my chair is sinking. Now, I personally don't really find this to be that much of a problem. I mean, for the most part, I think you just have to be kind of careful about where you're setting this thing up. Now, Helinox does sell a separate accessory that you can connect to the legs that is basically like an underpad for it that will give you a lot more surface area on the ground. So if you're going to be camping on like some, on sand or something that you know is going to be super muddy, then yeah, maybe you want to look into getting that. Personally, I don't really want to bring that extra weight, and I just feel like it's not that necessary for me, but you might want to check that out for you. What I've typically done is just find some bark on the ground, not off the tree. Just find some bark that you can put underneath the legs, and that'll help to stop it from sinking into muddy soil. Another potential issue that I've heard people complain about, and I think is kind of true, is a lot of people say that this chair tips backward a little too easily. Maybe I can try to show you this here, but if you lean a little too far back, then it'll start to tip backwards. And for the most part, I don't feel like that's that much of a problem. As long as I'm conscious about how far back I'm leaning in this thing, I've been okay. Another downside is also the weight. Even though this thing is really light, and I think that's a big benefit of it, it's still a full pound that you have to carry with you. And this is by far my heaviest luxury item. So even though in some ways the weight is fantastic, again, it's still, 16 ounces. And the last downside to me is the price. 120 bucks, yeah, I totally understand that that's kind of a lot of money for a camp chair. Now, I believe the REI model is $20 cheaper at 100 bucks, but even that is still kind of pricey. Although a little tip, just wait for the REI 20% off sale. In my own opinion, this thing is worth every single penny, but again, 120 bucks I realize is a lot of money for a chair. Well, guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to record an ending for my wonderful little video. But thank you so much for watching. As always, stick around another minute for a few bloopers. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click that subscribe button. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And the next time you're on the trail, hopefully with a camp chair, have fun out there. I lost my paper. Oh, fiddlesticks. Guess I'm going without my notes. Man, I cannot see a thing. Get into the sun. The sun's so bright I should have brought my hat. I can't stare into the sun. I just can't do it. Redo. Ultralightness. Get that.